Let me during this high-level political forum, which was the first time where they reviewed country reports, kind of a revision, and during the high-level political forum, or in parallel, the reflection group that you are part and Social Watch is integrated part, you launched the Spotlight report. During this launching, the reaction from civil society and some officials was very positive, because at least you have an additional. Can you tell me a little bit about the Spotlight report? What are the main outcomes or findings and messages that it is highlighted in this, and why it is a Spotlight report?
Well, the Spotlight is because usually this kind of independent reports by civil society in the human rights tradition and in the United Nations at large have been called shadow reports.
Yes.
It's like the British culture of having a government and a shadow government that is permanently checking and object. But we were saying, well, we don't want to be in the shadow, and we want to throw light over these problems. So we created Spotlight that plays in with that association. And the Spotlight report is actually 2 volumes. This volume that you have here, where we take the global issues and each of the 17 goals and address what is happening, what is the problem, what is the indicator, what is the monitoring, what needs to be done. And then there are 40 national reports which look at 40 different countries in the north, in the south, east, west, from different regions, from all around the world, where they look at how are these goals going to be implemented.
Even in the developed countries.
And particularly in the developed countries. Because, as we said before, that's in a way where the change needs to start. Because even if developing countries start doing things right, and many are doing them right or the best they can, if you don't change the carbon emissions that create climate change, the overconsumption, the agricultural subsidies that distort the whole agriculture of the world, and many other things that need to change in developed countries first, we will not get, in the global picture, really a solution. And so we have reports coming from Canada, from Germany, from Finland, from many developed countries, looking at 2 things, not just what do we need to do to cooperate with those that need resources and so on, but also what do we need to do at home on 2 areas which the agenda asks them to do. One is to address social and environmental issues at home, where there are really important problems in all those countries, but the other one is to address the global impact of their national policies. Because if you have a national policy that impacts your neighbor, like the case of Ireland, in the case of taxes, your neighbor will come and say, hey, you're making too much noise when it's sleeping time, you have to calm down.
But here the problem is, when you are talking about the obligation, the agenda, for the goal for the reach, the obligation of these nations, and the extraterritorial obligations, etc. You see that at the level of the systemic issues, they are not moving fast. They are not doing the necessary trade, bilateral. Europe, the EU is inviting everybody to sign free trade agreements based on a new investment framework, promoting, etc. Then they are committing less ODA, although the number of foreign aid is increased, but they included within all issues related to militarization, security, migration, etc. So you have more maybe ODA, but less DA, development aid. Then the substitute is inviting the developing countries to promote the business sector and private sector, and to rely more on remittances. So this is a little bit a dilemma. You were positive in one hand, but on the other hand, you see that the whole policy and the whole approach is still, it's worsening. It's not the same.
Is changing. It's, let's say, contradictory. To be diplomatic, allow me, right? But I'm not sure if it is worsening or not worsening. Yes, some countries continue to push for the same agenda, but at the same time, that agenda is not accepted even by the public internally in their own countries. So
they are challenged by their own.
They're challenged by the citizens. They are challenged. So you know, the trade agreement between Europe and the US, the Pacific trade agreement, and so on.
What we are facing with Europe,
yeah.
Now Europe is facing with the US.
With the US,
in terms
exactly.
of dispute settlement bodies, in terms of
the same problems.
rules of origin.
What they want from Africa, the US wants from them, and they don't want to give
So
to
now
the
they
US.
can understand better our concerns.
In a way, yeah. Hopefully. So this is a bit stagnated.
Yes.
You know, and Brexit opened a Pandora box because countries are saying, well, I signed an agreement with that EU, and now it's a different thing, so maybe we need to revise the whole thing. And so we don't know. We are in a peculiar moment in relation with the trade and investment agreements, and maybe that results in strengthening the World Trade Organization, which at least is an international global organization and not just plurilateral. But anyhow, so the process is not advancing in the same direction that it was.
But things are limited, are linked. I mean, in the trade and investment, to have a new framework promoting businesses, which means that their investors to come.
No, yeah, that is a shame. You know, that is a shame. The new accounting for ODA, it's a bit like saying, okay, I keep the promise that I made because even my own public will not allow me to abandon that promise, but I will start counting as aid many things that are not aid. And that will result this year when the statistics are going to be published. The main recipient of European ODA is going to be Europe. The main recipient of German ODA is going to be Germany. The main recipient of Swedish ODA is going to be Sweden. Why? Because all the money spent on hosting or training or somehow supporting, you know, including the refugees, is accounted for as ODA.
Yes.
Okay, when that was marginal to the whole thing, you could say, yes, fine. But when you see, oh, ODA is there, and it met the target, but the money stayed in Europe and never went to developing countries, it's going to be, it's going to lose credibility. And the other push that is not credible is to account for subsidies to private investment as part of ODA. Any private investment, not that kind of investment that really contributes to the development of the country,
yes,
but maybe a five-star hotel or
real estate.
Real estate, many things that, whose contribution to development is not clear, that the country didn't ask for, are being subsidized with ODA as guarantees and so on, which means if the initiative is successful, the private investor will pocket the money and the profits and so on. If the initiative fails, the public guarantee of the donor country and of the recipient country, meaning taxpayers' money, will cover the losses.
So
it's socializing the losses.
They don't share the risk.
Well, exactly. I mean, they make the public share the risk with the investor. The risk and the losses are shared. They don't share the profit. They don't share the benefit.
Exactly.
So that it's not credible.
Okay.
And these kind of measures are probably not going to gain acceptance.